War is afoot. What's up, Doom Nation? We are back once again with a Doomed review, and this time we are doing the review on House of Dragons, something I know Mr. Scagz is very excited about, and we got a couple of guests with us. Scagz, you want to tell everybody who's with us?
Yes, sir. We have the Targaryen herself, Shayne. Hi. We got Danny Mac joining us.
What's good? What's good?
What's up, Danny?
Game of Thrones comes roaring back with the House of the Dragon, which is a prequel, and it's going to be centered around House Targaryen. It is actually based off of Fire and Blood, a book that came out a couple years ago by George R. Martin. I did read it back in 2019, so I have a lot of kind of backstory from the book. Although it was a couple years ago, I read it, so I don't remember everything exactly. I didn't give it a read before this.
Still gonna have a better idea than us, though.
Yeah, I'm glad you do, because first off, Doom Nation, I mean, if you've stuck it out with us for this long, I'm going to be butchering a lot of effing names. Okay. I got to learn these names first.
I agree, dude.
Yeah. I mean, I caught a few names and stuff, but I was sitting there and I was analyzing the show and watching it. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to fucking review this. Cause like I have no other than like this is 175 years before the Mad King.
73.
That's about all I got.
I had a feeling you guys would have a hard time reviewing it because you're coming in with no knowledge whatsoever of any of these characters. Mm-hmm. I do feel like the episode did a good job of introducing all the characters, giving you a little bit of action, and then moving along the plot line to what the show is actually going to be about, without it feeling overly rushed. They moved quickly, but I felt like they moved pretty efficiently. So you'll get to know the characters' names. I see what you guys are saying. You don't really know the characters' names. Mm-hmm. They try to say them as often as possible, but it was a lot of characters for one episode.
And I probably remember 3 or 4 names.
All the names sound the same.
They're all Targaryens.
I know.
Right? So I'll tell you guys that the 2 main players are Daemon Targaryen, the brother of King Viserys, and Rhaenyra, the daughter. The show and the book goes on a lot of time periods of the Targaryens, but the show is going to be about the Dance of Dragons, which is essentially civil war between the Targaryens, which again, I thought the show did a great job at like, here are the characters, here's a little bit of action, here we go. Instead of like, I don't know, sitting around for an entire episode and just saying the people's names and then you're bored because you don't really give a shit about anything. I thought it was a good start. I don't know. What did you guys think, not knowing anything about this?
Strong start. Like I was pretty excited. Like I was excited all day. I was very curious at what was going to happen. Like with Game of Thrones, first episode, a little slow and everything. Not bad, but as expected, first episode of a show. This one, they went pretty strong enough. Part of that I feel is probably because how season 8 ended, and they want to give a good impression. So keep like the viewers like occupied.
I said it before, like there's a lot riding on this, right?
Exactly.
With Game of Thrones really fucking piss poor ending, turned a lot of people that were like loyal fans completely against Game of Thrones.
This guy.
I get it.
I'm sorry, I wasn't excited. If you didn't tell me it was airing tonight, I wouldn't have known. Don't get me wrong. I was never not going to watch this. You know what I mean? But like, because of what they did in season 8, I had no excitement. I mean, I'm obviously going in clean slate. I don't know the storyline. I didn't watch Game of Thrones until like season 5 or 6, and I just binged the crap out of it. And I had already known like through conversations what to expect. And with this, I have no clue. So like, just between not knowing any background and the way season 8 ended, I was okay. I guess
so. It's interesting because imagine you now went back in time to 2010, I think, when Game of Thrones came out, and you decided, hey, I'm going to watch the first episode of the show. I don't know anything about it. You'd have the same feeling, right? But as the seasons progressed, a lot of us jumped on later. Even I jumped on later. I think I jumped on around season 3 because I heard through other people, hey, this show was really good. But if I went back in time and watched the first episode, I'd be like, nah, I don't know anything about this. And, most people don't even like the first episode of Game of Thrones.
I literally jumped into the show by season 6 just finished when I decided to see if it was even available. And I was like, oh, all 6 seasons are available. I'll be done in 2 weeks.
Right.
Yeah. The binge master, Shayne over there. But also, if you think of it too, though, it's not fair to say oh, I don't have any background story. I don't know, because The Mandalorian, something we love, something we've talked about, something we reviewed. We had Star Wars background and we have Game of Thrones background.
Correct.
But The Mandalorian walked on screen and nobody knew what to expect.
Yeah,
there is a
hump. There's a hump to get over here because of what Game of Thrones did at the end. And I guarantee you every single person watching House of the Dragon feels the exact same way.
Yeah.
So but a lot of people have read Fire and Blood like me, and a lot of people haven't. So I'm telling you guys and everybody watching from reading the book, this was a really good start to the show. And, without getting too much into it, I think they've already started to retcon and try and fix the damage they did at the end of Game of Thrones, because we'll skip ahead here real quick while this is still fresh in my mind, because this was towards the end of the episode. And this was not something in the book. When King Viserys and Rhaenyra were having that conversation in front of the Balerian skull, he had Arya's dagger, right? Arya's dragon bone dagger, right? And he told her this is a secret, been held, been kept among most of the Targaryens, that a great winter's coming, etc. That shit ain't in any of the books, as far as I remember. That wasn't in Fire and Blood. So that's something that the show has taken some sort of creative step to try and maybe, as this story progresses, we'll learn that the actual Targaryen king knows way more than we knew in Game of Thrones, and that will fill in some of the missing shit that the show missed at the end. We never got any backstory on the Night King, really, or anything like that. Well, here you go. Now maybe the Targaryens know a little bit more than you're led on to be.
Maybe we'll see more of that, that tree race giving him the fruit or whatever it was. Maybe.
Oh, the children of the forest.
Children of the forest, right? There was a weirwood tree in King's Landing.
Yeah, that's a different one from Winterfell.
Correct. So going back in Game of Thrones history, there was a time where the whole continent had weirwood trees all over the place. Over time, they were cut down. They were the old gods, right?
Yeah,
and over time,
it was a religious thing, because what we see in Game of Thrones is the new gods.
Correct.
But there's those few, mostly Starks at this point, that do the old gods.
So there is a Targaryen later on called Baelor the Blessed, and he kind of starts the new religion of the Seven, I think it was, or whatever it is, and
something like that.
Yeah, and the High Sparrow, that whole religion, he starts it later on. So this is before that. At this point in time, it's the old gods still, the werewoods, etc. I thought it was really interesting. Oh man, let me tell you, the scene where the queen is giving birth was just painful to watch. And I thought it was overlaid perfectly over a tournament of jousting in the background and whatnot. I thought that was pretty cool. What do you guys think about that?
Different battles going on at the same time.
That, and I was just kind of holding my stomach just watching her. I was just like, Jesus fuck.
Yeah, you could cut the tension there. Go ahead. Was that you, Cap?
No.
Sorry, we're going a whole bunch of shit.
No, you're good. It's all
I felt
good.
like you cut the tension in that scene very well, because it was not only someone trying to give birth and basically getting a C-section medieval times, but there was a lot of political tension and drama going on in the actual tournament itself. One of the other players is Otto Hightower. He's the hand of the king, a major player in all this.
So Hightower is the first person I'm getting a sense of that we are going to be like, oh, this is Joffrey. Just somebody that's really going to annoy the shit out of us. Did he send his daughter to the king's chambers in hopes that the king would bang her and then she have a son and his grandson, kind of like in the Last Kingdom, where fucking what was the old dude's name that married King Arthur's son, that married his daughter to King Arthur's son, and he was pulling all the strings for politically.
I know exactly. But yeah, I mean, definitely there's some political maneuvering going on in the background. This is Game of Thrones. There's really no good guys in this story. Just to be clear. Prince Daemon is not going to be a good guy. It's the way they've introduced him throughout the episode. He's a ruthless fucking
right
killer.
now. I love him.
Yes,
Rhaenyra,
I guess, is going to be sold as the good guy. That is kind of the way the story shakes out.
I don't know if it was just me. I was getting really creepy vibes from Daemon when it came to Rhaenyra.
Well, they're Targaryens. Do not forget.
I know.
Yes. It's like
it's something I have to get used to watching on TV again.
I was going to say, do you remember
incest?
It's like, do you remember Daenerys and her brother? Like, that was
right. Well, that was the brother. That was not her.
It's still like family and everything. Like
that was creepy too. I'm not saying it wasn't, but immediately I was like, no. Because maybe he'll like convince them to let him marry her or something.
I mean, hey, it's a Targaryen thing, right?
So the Dance of Dragons is essentially between the two of them, right? That's what the civil, and that's how they ended the episode, setting that up. Daemon is going to go his way. He's going to go back to Dragonstone, I believe, and she's going to be the King's Landing. It's going to lead the Civil War. There's a lot of different houses here that weren't in Game of Thrones, right? And you're going to see why as this.
So I was going to say, like, was everybody at that table with their marble? Are they all dragon riders?
No, they're not. They're other houses of Westeros. So
well, I know
Otto Hightower is from Old Town. Old Town is where Sam went. Remember, to become a maester. That's the Hightowers, kingdom. Corlys Velaryon, he is from Driftmark, I think it's called.
That one's new. You're saying,
yes,
or not spoken of.
It's yes, and I don't want to spoil it for everybody, but you'll see why. Yeah. But he's also a really big player in this whole thing. He's the master of ships, I believe. He's like a legendary commander.
I hate to be that guy, but he's the black guy, right?
Correct. But let's get rid of any woke shit. That is the way he is described in the book.
Yeah.
And he's a Valyrian, right? The Valyrians are the only other family that came from Valyria with the Targaryens after the fall of Valyria.
Oh, so that's why she's the queen that never was.
Yes. So the Targaryens and the Valyrians left Valyria, when it was like that ancient kingdom way back in the day, and they kind of came to Dragonstone and Westeros and whatnot. So they're the only two houses that survived Valyria. I thought maybe the show will give us a little bit more explanation about Valyria itself too, because it seems like the king knows some shit.
Yeah,
he even referenced that too, which we have no idea what exactly happened to old Valyria.
Yeah,
I'll give it a couple seasons.
I think so. That Arya's dagger was strong enough to kill the White Walkers, right?
Correct.
Or
don't forget, right? Arya's dagger killed the Night King.
Yes, right? The Night King. I think we're gonna get the story of behind how like Valyrian steel was discovered, or maybe the king already knows like how that either he knows that Valyrian steel will kill this dark figure in the winter. Or we find out how Valyrian steel, like they discover that they could use it.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, when he was talking about the Great Winter and whatnot, he was grabbing hold of the hilt of that dagger.
Yeah.
Some foreshadowing, which is, again, one of the things I always loved about Game of Thrones, like foreshadowing things to come with like little subtle things like that. So I appreciate that. Thought that was pretty cool. I thought it was cool also he was working on that like model of Dragonstone, which we didn't see in this first episode, but it's going to be in future episodes.
We never saw Dragonstone, right?
No, we did. That's where Daenerys was.
That's where they got all the dragon glass.
Oh yeah. And they had that the battle room that was like in a cave and shit. Correct. Yeah.
It'll be a big part of this series, definitely. But they kept it away for the first episode.
If I remember correctly, the three-eyed raven, they could see into the future too, right? Or something like that, along with working into wherever.
Yeah, and the three-eyed raven can see into the past.
Okay, so it's like this dude knew about the Night King, whatever, the White Walkers in the future. So maybe he's tight with the three-eyed raven at that time, whatever. Maybe something that Raven foresaw, maybe warning him. Maybe he'll see the three-eyed raven in the show.
We can make theories for anything at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
That whole aspect of this is new. That was not in the book, that the king just magically knows shit about what's to come in the future. That was new. And I like it, because now even me, having read the book, who knows what's going to happen, I now don't know exactly what's going to happen.
This is the only book, right? With that.
Yes. Okay. And this is a couple of chapters of this book, The Dance of Dragons. So I thought it was good. It was, like I said, it's Game of Thrones. That tournament was violent as fuck.
Yeah.
People's heads were getting blown off,
Cut off. Yeah.
They got
Damon
no
in the City
food.
Watch.
They got no job.
Yeah, Damon in the City Watch. I mean, just targeting random people. I don't even know if those people were actually criminals or not.
Oh yeah, he was like rape, cut his dick off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and there was a bit
Thievery,
of
cut his hands off.
there was a bit of hypocrisy there too, because he was, going to the brothel and basically living a promiscuous lifestyle. But at the same time, I'm the commander of the city guard.
I love in Game of Thrones fashion, there is hot people banging immediately. Episode 1, ass is bouncing all over the
I
place.
was kind of waiting for it.
It felt like Game of Thrones. I can't lie. It really did. It felt like a lot of the good things about Game of Thrones. It really did. They recaptured some of the magic.
Although I'm going to
like
be. Go ahead, Shane.
I was saying, I feel like they did like a few references to Game of Thrones, but they didn't like settle on we are a prequel for Game of Thrones. Like they want to be like their own story. It feels like.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Yeah.
What I was going to say is, it did feel like Game of Thrones, but if tomorrow we start seeing outrage that there was a fucking Starbucks cup in a scene, I am going to lose my goddamn mind. I swear to God, I'm going to go crazy.
Well, we're going to get a crazy text tomorrow.
I kind of liked how they didn't lean too heavy on the dragons in this episode either. I mean, they showed them. It was cool, real quick. The funeral pyre was good, but it was good to introduce us to the humans. Ultimately, the humans are going to move the plot line forward. The dragons are just F-16 weapons to use.
Pretty much like we know the dragons are there, and we're meant to treat them like it's normal that they're there.
Right.
They're
on
not
account
supposed to
that
be
there's
anything
more
special and crazy, because for them it was completely normal. For Game of Thrones, 3 dragons for the first time in hundreds of years is a little different.
Right. Yeah, there was a different vibe to it. Right.
Yeah.
It was like a reveal.
Like
of
they literally ride them like horses. They got seats on them.
Yes, and that's if you go back to the books, the Targaryens were way more professional in terms of riding the dragons and whatnot than Daenerys is.
I did appreciate the first scene of seeing Rhaenyra. She was I noticed these things. Basically wearing an exact same outfit that Daenerys had worn while riding the dragon.
And then the music
literally
playing.
From behind, she looked exactly like her.
Yeah. She's like a little cardboard cutout of her.
Yeah.
That's her character though, the way that George wrote her,
Yeah,
I get it. They're trying to recapture, of course, some of the magic there that Daenerys had.
Yeah. And obviously they're Targaryen and they have like their set look, the long
right.
like silver hair, pale skin, very beautiful. But that one was like dead ringer for Daenerys in that moment.
Yeah. There was also another part. There was I can't remember what it's called, but the place where they keep the dragons. That was also in Game of Thrones towards the end, but she was destroyed, right? That's where they had the meeting with Jon and trying to convince them, hey, there's a war coming. It's Dragon Pit, I think it's called, right? That's completely built, and that's where they house the dragons, keep them away from the city and eating people and whatnot. So I thought that was pretty cool and interesting.
One thing,
paid a lot of attention to detail.
Seeing things that we only saw in Ruin.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like I found it.
I think we'll see a lot of that. What Shane just said.
Yeah.
Anything we saw in Ruin will be intact.
Like intact, what it was there for to begin with.
Those things were all little story threads that were in Game of Thrones, but if you didn't know a lot about the history, you wouldn't have recognized, right? But I appreciate that, like, there's a long history to the story that George R. R. Martin wrote here, and there was like historical things even in the first show. They're now going back and like, look, here's this thing, and they're not like outwardly like forcing it or pointing out. It's just there. I have right there the Song of Ice and Fire encyclopedia. A lot of the stuff is in there as well too. What were you gonna say before, Dan?
No, I found it interesting. Like the Iron Throne, like in Game of Thrones, people sat on it and everything, not get injured. This guy, every time he sat on, he always cut himself or anything. Like I get it's made of swords and everything, but it's like I noticed that they zoomed in on like the armrests. Like I couldn't see it well. Like, was there anything there? Like
okay, so yes, that is another big thing from just Game of Thrones and from the books, etc. There's always like I don't remember the exact quote, but essentially like sitting on the throne. Like if you're not worthy, most of the kings who are not worthy are going to get cut by the throne. Joffrey did get cut by the throne in Game of Thrones, I believe so. Right? If he didn't in the show, it was in the book. I clearly remember Joffrey being cut by the throne as well. So yeah, that was a thing too. That's like a symbolic thing. If you're not worthy of the throne will eventually cut you. The swords will end up cutting you. That was also like a thing. Like the Targaryens, they were like, this is not like a comfortable seat to sit on. It's like symbolic of the realm itself. Everyone's trying to kill you all the time and take over and rule, just like the throne, right? Like that's what being the king of Westeros is about. Like everyone wants to fucking get you, so that the seat is prickly itself.
Like when they were looking at his like cut or whatever, it was kind of reminding me of Grayscale. I wasn't sure if it was like he just happened to come in contact with something. I didn't notice the cut part, but I wasn't fully focusing.
Yeah. Shayne took a nice nap. Throughout some
of
the
I was dozing back and forth. I've had a long
just
weekend.
Tired. It's been a long day.
Yeah.
So the part that I did see, I did not see that, but watching the like nurse or whatever it was, like trying to like clean it out, it reminded me of when they were trying to care Jorah when they had Grayscale.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly from the book that part. Like I said, it was 2019. I think I read the book, and plus I don't want to spoil it for everybody.
Understandable.
Can't be spot on for everything.
No.
Although one thing I was excited to see was Robert Baratheon's great grandfather.
It's probably like 3 greats only. Probably like 3 before.
Right.
I did think they mentioned Baratheon a lot as well, right? Like they're gonna try and
they're gonna build up some story for that name. They have to, I think.
Right. They did mention the Lord of Winterfell too when the Starks came at the end and they showed like pledging their fealty.
That was like the only time you heard the name Stark. Like I was pretty like a little happy, a little heartwarmed. I'm like, oh,
great grandpa Starky McGee.
I feel just from what I can recall, at least with the show for Game of Thrones, was Stark wasn't as focused in like the entire kingdom's situations until Robert Baratheon.
Correct. Yeah, they're they're the North and they rule the North and they kind of always maintained, kept to themselves, and that's where they are at this point in the story, as far as I remember. Now there is a war coming, right, and everyone's going to have to choose sides, which is going to be interesting. See if the show even changes anything too. So it's a good story, man. I'm telling you guys, it was, in my opinion, a very good start. I don't know if you guys want to go around and rate it. What did you think out of 10?
Well, before the ratings, I just wanted to say, like the Queen's funeral, like the scene where like she's looking at the father, looking at the dragons, and I'm just like, say it, like, say the words.
Because she like started this, she stopped, and I was like, the word is coming.
Yeah, do it.
I'm like Jack Nicholson, like.
The one thing I just wanted to point out with I enjoyed also the parallel of this isn't the first time that it had to be the like heir, like who descends next to the throne, because there's no actual male heirs. I'm enjoying that. It's basically the exact same thing her father went through.
Correct.
Where he was like stuck between choosing, and everybody wanted him to choose the brother simply because he's a man.
Right. I mean, that's Westeros, that's medieval English culture where
and it's like, and then you look at Daenerys and she's basically going for the same thing,
right? Cersei was the first woman to actually be queen of Westeros. I thought the opening scene was pretty cool too. It was like a throwback to, I think it's Harrenhal, right? Which is which is one of the places that was in Game of Thrones, and the King Targaryens was there. Yeah, so it's interesting. The show, I don't know how long the show is going to go in terms of like how many seasons they're going to be. I could see
as long as they make money.
Oh yeah, definitely, and I could see them taking different like time periods of Targaryen history, and like maybe one season be about this, one season be about that.
I need the Mad King as the series.
Yeah, maybe that's how the show will wrap up.
I need there's
a chance.
King Baratheon versus the Mad King, the Warhammer versus the sword, and
you just reminded me of something. I appreciated how this spent more time on armor and helmets, right? One thing Game of Thrones didn't do for some reason, I think it's because they had very beautiful actors, and Kit Harington, that beautiful hair, Jamie Lannister and that beautiful hair. Like they didn't put helmets on, but in the books, you wear fucking helmets in medieval combat, right? Especially when you're in like a tournament.
Not according to these guys.
Daemon Targaryen's, you said it, dude. Like his armor was dope.
Yo, that shit was sexy. I don't care. I will drop whatever amount of money for Halloween.
Back to the Game of Thrones thing, the only time I saw somebody wear a helmet was the first time we saw the Hound.
Right, and then that's it. He never wore it again. It's because they didn't. I guess they have like these actors. They didn't want to like cover their face and whatnot
because they're big characters.
I always thought that was a mistake, though. Like it made it feel a little bit less realistic when you're in battle. Yeah, like sword.
It becomes a symbol, because I know Baratheon's. He has the antlers on his armor and stuff. And it becomes this symbol, just like that dragon helmet. If they comes back again, it'll be a symbol.
Right. The iconic, fight from the books, from the Robert's Rebellion is King Robert with the antlered helmet, and Daenerys' older brother, the good one, fighting against Rhaegar Targaryen, fighting against him with the dragon helmet. There's like that, him Robert with the Warhammer and them two fighting. Like that looks so cool, but we didn't get much of that in Game of Thrones just because
flashbacks.
Right, but I'm just saying, like we didn't get much of that, like decorated warfare in Game of Thrones.
But I need that as a show, and I feel
we'll see. Maybe we'll get that.
For whatever reason, I expected that to be the first prequel, not 175 years before. Just because
still might get it.
All talked about the entirety of the
show. I did think so too. I think you still might get it in future seasons of House of the Dragon.
Yeah, I think
because it's called House of the Dragon. It's not called Dance of the Dragons. Which
like maybe it could be like an anthology where like every season is a different.
Yeah. Like I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, what do you guys want to rate it?
You guys go.
I'm gonna be honest, I can't give a true rating.
What do you rate your dreams?
Great, the little bit of scenes that I did see. I know it's probably going to be good. I'll give it an 8. I'll be fair for what I did see, but I'm going to give it a rewatch and I'll just comment on YouTube what I actually rate it.
What do you think, Danny?
I want to say like 8.5. The music, like I noticed like some scenes or whatever. It was like it felt nice seeing King's Landing not destroyed. Felt nice. Strong start overall with the episode. Like I was more interested in this first episode than I was with Game of Thrones first episode. Meanwhile, both shows I really didn't know anything. So this one really hooked me faster.
Going into the music thing, I appreciate that they have the original Game of Thrones theme song, but they still kind of changed it.
They
I noticed that right away.
Because like when the show started, I was like, okay, this isn't it, but then it's still like it had the little bit of a violin note, and I was like, yes,
it should. Music gets emotion out of you when you watch something, so there should be some new stuff that you're going to end up liking. Miguel, it's Raymond Jawadi, right? He's the same guy who did Game of Thrones. He's doing it again. He's a fucking master at doing this sort of stuff. So
I binge so many shows. There's only some shows that I will actually sit through the intro for, and Stranger Things and Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I agree. It had a little bit of the Targaryen theme, the Game of Thrones theme, but a new sort of thing to give this its own distinct feel. Captain, what do you think?
All right, so I'm still bitter from season 8. I don't know what's going to take place. But I got my sex, I got my warfare, I got dragons, I got music. So I'm keeping it low for now because it has to build and they can't screw it up. So I'm giving it a 6. And it's not because it was bad, it's because I'm sitting in a dark room here putting together a puzzle. You know what I mean? Like I really don't know where it's going to go. It's got all the qualities that made Game of Thrones good, but even with all those qualities, just a few bad directions could ruin it. So they got to earn my respect again.
You're just prepping for disappointment almost.
That's fine. That's fine because Game of Thrones set you up like for the best ending ever, and then let's just push it. So we'll treat this a little bit differently. I'm fine with that.
I'm not comparing it. Yes, you want to compare it to Game of Thrones, but I'm going to try my best to not. I will compare it to the first 6 seasons.
Fair enough. Yeah, so I'm going to give it a 8.5. I thought it was a really good start. They accomplished everything I thought this should have accomplished in the first episode. Move the plot along, but not too quickly, like Game of Thrones started doing at the end. Introduced it to all the characters. It had sex. It had action, so that people who don't know what's going on are somewhat entertained still. There was some like scenes that were like really uncomfortable. The baby giving birth scene that was really uncomfortable. I think that sort of stuff is good. Like it gets some sort of emotion out of you. Miguel Sapochnik is like in charge of the whole show. He did all the best episodes from Game of Thrones, Battle of the Bastards, etc. He's really good. Like I said before, Raymond Jawadi, he does great music. He's back. So they got the right people in place. They got off to a good start. I think this is going to be a good show, and I think they're going to also fix some of the mistakes that Game of Thrones made at the end by kind of giving you a little bit more information that will make you be like, all right, I feel a little bit better about the ending of Game of Thrones because I now know a little bit more that they didn't give me at the end. So we'll see. That's a surprise.
Temperamental.
Was that?
Are all Targaryens temperamental?
Yes.
What do you mean by temperamental? Like
all of a sudden you just snap.
So the quote is always every time a Targaryen is born, the gods flip a coin, and heads they're good, tails they're crazy, right? So we'll see. That's the way To be honest with you, it's a pretty accurate quote.
Yeah.
For the Targaryens. So yeah, I think that's a good point to end it.
All right, Doom
Also,
Nation.
the lighting was good, not like the long night.
Correct. Yes, it was in the daytime. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Let's keep it in the daytime.
Yeah.
Yes. So we can actually see what the fuck's going on.
Or do nighttime and fake the light.
Yeah, for
Something.
real.
Something. Yeah, right. You need to be actually able to
Glow in
see
the
what
dark
you're
paint.
watching.
Yeah.
It's an important part of any show.
Exactly.
All right. So on that note, Doom Nation, we hope you guys enjoyed this Doom review. The Doom reviews will be coming out. Well, I don't know if we're gonna be doing any extra reviews, but they're coming back. We are actually going to take a break, so catch up on this episode and some of our older episodes. We had, we had guests on for the past several weeks. We had Steve, we had Alex, we had Janet. So go check those out. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. And I hope you guys enjoyed House of Dragons.
Bye.
Goodbye.